friends. I am live in Michigan at swiftblocker, the swiftblocker greenhouse, and we've been getting some soil blocks mix ready to go for the live. And Dan and I, he's running an errand for me right now. He'll be right back. We are going to do some soil blocks. I'm going to get to play with some swiftblockers that I've never used before, different models than the one I have. And we'll answer any questions that you have about soil blocks and swiftblocker products specifically if you want. And if you want, you can drop your question in the little question bubble below. If you don't see it, there might be something to press to give you more options on the bottom. But drop your question there. That way we'll be able to see it because we're going to be on the other side of the table doing the soil blockers. I'm going to play with the 128, I believe. I own the Mini 27, which I think is great for the home gardener, but I'm kind of ogling the 128. It'll do 128 soil blocks all at once. All right, so I was asking Dan what he uses for his soil block recipe, and they use something called Dairy Dew, and I have to say, it's fantastic. It does not need to be sifted, and it's got a great texture and feel to it. When I'm making soil blocks at home in Charlotte, I use Coco Loco, but I have to sift the Coco Loco first. It just has too many like wood fines in it that get in the way when you're doing soil blocks. So it's nice that this has that, you don't have that added step with this. We've added a bunch of water and we're trying to make sure it's the right consistency. There's Dan. I need some right now. Dan was fetching water for me. Dan, get on camera. Oh. There you go. Say hi.
Hello.
So I did just an intro about what we're using today for the mix, and that you don't have to sift it.
Yep.
And you don't add anything extra. You don't you don't do the green sand, and you don't do the rock phosphate, and you don't do...
We've done it before, but this is the easiest method for us.
And when you say you've done it before, and this is the easiest, is it also, have you noticed a difference in quality of the things grown?
I mean, everything that we've been a proponent for is reducing the amount of variables, right? And so when I have more ingredients, more likely something in that's going to screw up and I won't know what it is. So when I started just to use this, it's consistent, the quality is good, and so everything has been producing fine.
Okay, that's interesting. So that makes me want to go home and try just doing Coco Loco and not adding in pit moss and green sand and all the things, and just see if that's enough, because one, it costs less.
Yeah.
And two, when you don't know what the variable is that's causing everything to mess up.
It's just, if it can make a decent block, a lot of the ingredients that people add, compost and that kind of stuff, the blocks, to give it a firmer shape.
Yeah. But I've noticed when I've made, so at one point I made all compost blocks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was very dense. It was an experiment. It didn't go great. What would you tell everybody is the right consistency for having the right amount of water?
Mashed potatoes. It
should feel like mashed potatoes. And should you be able to wring water out of it?
Yes, just a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Yep. We like to have a wetter mix because I can get a more consistent block, and it's also easier to push out.
Okay. A wetter mix is easier to push out.
Yeah, there's less friction.
Okay. All right, and I told everybody I'm going to play with the 128.
Okay.
Let me show you. So this is what I have at home. This is the Mini 27. And so this is the only one I've ever gotten to play with. And it makes 27 3/4 inch.
No, inch and a half.
27 inch and a half blocks. And I really love it. Like for me as a home gardener, I don't often grow more than 27 of any one plant type.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when I'm making them, I don't have any trays specific to the 27. I just use a shallow 1020 and put a humidity dome on. And so I like to sow only one type of thing, because then the humidity dome is coming off at the appropriate time for whatever's germinating.
Yep.
Like if I have tatsoi and then like a very slow germinating flower in the same tray, the humidity dome doesn't need to come off for one, but does for the other.
Yeah, if you keep everything consistent, then it's much easier to manage.
Yeah. But I am branching out into wanting to do more, like, so a ton of stuff all at once. And so I'm very interested to try out this, because this does work a little differently than the 27 in terms of like like the rocking, right?
Yes.
I've seen the videos about the rocking.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, now when you guys fill up something like this, are you taking handfuls and dumping it in, or are you putting this in here?
So there's a couple different ways I do it. You can have it flat on the table, like this.
Yeah.
Fill it completely up, and there's enough friction that you can actually pick it up and set it inside here, and then you don't end up with a bunch of soil.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
Okay, so.
All right. Do I need to clear it off at
No,
all?
it's fine.
All right.
So, go ahead.
Just start
throwing it in and packing it in.
All right. I might move the camera a little bit.
Sure.
You get dirty too.
All right.
All right. All right, now remember guys, if you have a question, put it in the question bubble. Otherwise, we might not see it. Because our hands are very dirty. All right, and I definitely want to, like, I've watched all your videos.
Okay.
And so I've watched how you guys fill them. The one thing I have not struggled with, but like played around with trying to figure out what works best for me is just how much to pack it in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen some people barely like do that and think I'm done.
Yeah.
And also I've seen people leave a bunch on the top like that, and they're like I'm done, and I'm like
Right.
But I'm like, should I be pushing down like this
Right.
to make sure it's packed in?
So you can the way I do it is I just keep going back and forth until I feel like, especially on the ends, everything is consistent. My big thing is keep everything the same. If they're all spongy, make sure every single one of them is spongy.
Okay.
Don't have half of them be rock solid and the other half filled, because when you're watering, the blocks are going to uptake water at different speeds. It's going to hold different amount.
Okay.
So you want to keep everything the same. So,
That is good advice. I hadn't thought about like if one block is way denser than another one that will cause problems down the road. And so do you use your hands or do you use the?
I use both. The scraper too. Yep. Yeah. So you can use this like big scoop. So just take, go in like that, and then I usually use this towards the end when I want to make sure that everything is
pressed down evenly.
Yep, like that, and you just keep going back and forth like that.
Okay. But while we're doing this, I have a couple questions just out of curiosity.
Yep.
So this makes 128 what size?
These are about 1.25 inches. They're tall.
128 inch and a quarter taller blocks.
Sorry, 2 inches. They're 1.25 inches wide, 2 inches tall.
2 inches tall.
Yep.
Okay. And then you also have a blocker like this that makes 200.
Yep.
What do you see the different, like, why would someone purchase a 200 versus a 128 or vice versa?
So the big difference in why we created this is because of timing. So in the 200, we can usually go from seed to transplant in about 4 weeks.
So from the moment that you make the block and put the seed in it, 4 weeks later, you're planting that out in the garden.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So like snapdragons, that kind of thing. For larger stuff like tomatoes or peppers, you can use this and get a deeper root system and probably do it in like 6 to 8 weeks. So if you want to have a slower growing transplant that needs more time, you use something like this. And then the same thing with 72 is 1.5 inches. I've seen people grow snapdragons, which is a little tiny seed, which normally people would think to grow in the 200 and grow them in there. And then by the time, 10 weeks later, 12 weeks later, they have a nice fat transplant that goes in. So it's all based on timing and what you have available to you.
Okay. And what do you think about, like, so one of the other soil blockers out there utilizes a system where they can, like, make very tiny ones and put them into bigger ones.
Yeah.
With this, if you're timing it right, you don't need that extra step, right?
Yes.
Like if you just would start your seeds a little bit later and just transplant them directly, you don't need to do that extra step of making a second set of soil blocks that have a space in them to put something in, right?
Yeah. So everything is potting up. What they call the potting up is people who grow in little tiny blocks and then want to move it to larger. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can just pick a larger size block to grow it in and let it develop its root system that way. So
or time it better.
Or just time it better. Yeah.
Right.
If you have a 4-week window, don't plant your zinnias until, which everybody I think does it, including us, they get antsy in 8 weeks before they put them in, and then you have these gigantic plants. And
Well, I think all of us are so sick of winter, and we're like, I'm ready to grow, and we do. I think everybody starts everything almost too soon, except the really smart flower farmers. But all the home gardeners, we're like, yeah, let's start peppers in December, which I've done before. But
we got burned 3 years ago because we started everything in our basement, and then based on the cool flowers, right? We said, okay, we'll plan it out in like middle of March was the 8 to 12 weeks before the first frost. Well, we got hit by 10-degree weather, and it wiped out everything, right? And so if you use a larger block, you can look at your time frame of weather, and it has more forgiveness. You can say, oh, okay, actually, I'm okay. I can wait until this passes, and then I can go plan it out, and I'm okay.
Right. Okay, well, that makes sense. Okay, do you feel like...
Yeah, this looks good.
It's good.
This looks
good.
And
I should be able to pick this up and move it to this tray without them falling out.
So first step is to break the suction off the table.
Okay.
And then,
I feel like we lost some.
Oh, yes. So if you lose some, you literally just set it back down and pack it back in.
Okay.
Rock. So you can go ahead. What I do is actually take it and I sort of scrape it along the edge of the table and set it in.
Okay. I'm going to try it.
Okay.
All right, breaking the suction.
Yep.
And
there you go. We put it in. Okay.
Right. Okay, and then just to show everybody, so this blocker has dibbles in it, which will create that little depression to put the seed in, but they are removable if you don't want that dibble. So why would someone not want the dibble?
If they have something that they just want to sow on the surface, versus actually having it deep inside of it. It's really just a matter of preference. Okay, I've seen the same success whether you've had one of the
straw flowers, they need light to germinate,
correct.
Right? So straw flowers, I might take the dibbles out before pressing the blocks out, right?
Yeah.
And okay, if I wanted to sow my seeds before pressing them out, would I lightly press this down just to have the dibble mark?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that.
Like this. Let me see. Okay, so I can see a small depression where the dibbles were.
Yep.
And then I could put my seeds in, cover it with some vermiculite.
Yep.
Right.
So we have a little bucket. So what we do is we pre-mix vermiculite with cinnamon, and we make a huge batch of it.
You do the cinnamon for the antifungal?
Yep. And then we just take that, sprinkle a little bit.
Oh, it smells so good.
Yeah.
It smells like holidays. All right.
Sprinkle it on top. And what that does is two things. So if your seed's already in there, it creates sort of a non-stick surface. So when you put this on top, I've done this and screwed up with Lysianthus with a clay pelleted seed.
Yeah.
Once that gets wet, it gets sticky. If you don't put a barrier on, the seed will stick to your dibble below.
Got it.
So I add a little bit of vermiculite on top, which helps with that antifungal and helps hold moisture in. Helps
All right.
with the germination.
So here's another question. So mine when I'm doing it with the dibbles at home. So I've made the dip, I pressed it lightly, I've got the depression, I put the seed in, I put the vermiculite. Then when I go to press them out, do I take these dibbles out?
No. Nope, just leave everything in. And it adds to the seed soil. So this is centered. So the seed is going to go right in the center of the block, right over where that dibble is going to push. So if you have a straw flower, the only thing it's going to do is just press it deep into this. It's going to press it onto the soil. It's not going to go into the soil. It's just going to top.
All right. So now,
moment of truth.
Now I should do this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then kind of.
So you're going to go.
Rock
back
it.
and forth. You'll feel it. So you're just pulling up. Yeah, there you go. You feel it starting to loosen up a little bit.
I do.
Okay. So you're just going to keep going.
Do I do it in the middle at all, or just on the edges?
You can do both. And you'll start to feel it start to come
Yep.
up. So it depends on, usually sometimes if it's getting...
I feel it. Sorry. I don't know. It's very gratifying.
It's very good. It's a very tactile experience.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay. There we go.
Oh.
Okay, so now...
Okay.
What I like to do is break the section of surface. So I actually just like to take this top and just lift it up, just slide them out. Because sometimes when people make the blocks, they'll be stuck a little bit. And then you can take, just lift it. Yeah, just slide it. You can either lift that completely off, and then you can just pull it off.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some different nuances versus the mini.
Yeah, the mini you can just manhandle and just ka-chunk. So like, yeah, you lost a little bit of soil there, which means probably we didn't have enough compaction in one area. But you see the difference in size of the blocks versus...
Yeah. They look, I don't want to spill it, but look how good they look. Yeah, this is really cool. I love that. All right, like in terms of like customer feedback, has there been anything like your most commonly asked question or your most commonly asked like, this, I have trouble with this. Like, is there anything that like...
Yeah, so like a couple of things. People ask, people will not do the rocking back and forth, right? They'll take this thing and they'll be like, how come it's not coming up?
And they're pushing,
They're pushing down, right? Or they'll say, I'm squeezing it really hard and it's making it difficult. This should never be any harder than squeezing a lemon.
Oh,
that should be everybody's reference point. If it is, then something is wrong. Your technique is wrong, your soil mix is too dry, you have a stick in the way, something like that. So everybody starts with their hands away from here and you're just slowly, it's a loosening, not a...
And like I think people expect it to be like this immediate
no.
And with this one, it really is just kind of like a slow, methodical back and forth.
It's supposed to be very low impact.
Yeah, because I have carpal tunnel and issues with like arthritis in this thumb, and these they don't hurt at all.
Yeah, we've talked about. I use my mom as the test person who has carpal tunnel, and if she can do it.
That one thing when I started talking about mine versus the one I had before and like the ergonomics of the one I had before, I made mention of that and couldn't believe how many people were like, oh my god, that sounds amazing because yes, the soil blockers hurt my hands, they hurt my wrists so much.
Yeah, it's very wrist intense where it's a lot of this action which causes a lot of stress there. But with this, it's just simply taking your time, loosening it up. And
I have to say, like when I was doing it, it didn't feel like anything was happening for the first, I don't know, few seconds. But if I just kept doing it and all of a sudden you felt it give a little bit here, you're like, okay, it gave a little bit there. Yeah. So you just have to be a little patient with it and not so like...
Yep. So this one is actually probably the hardest one.
Why?
I'll let you do, if you want to do the 72, you can see the difference between that one.
Okay.
That one, so, the bigger the block. The bigger the block, the easier it is to get it out, which to me it almost seems counterintuitive. But the reason is because you have less surface area. So when you have surface area, you have more friction. So you have more sidewalls, there's more pressure that's required to push the block out. But because with like these ones.
Because I find like this is the one I have, and the 27, and it's super easy to do because I did a workshop with some kids in a gardening summer camp, and the kids, I mean, you know, their hands are pretty little, so the hardest part was having their hands reach, but they were able, with kids' hands, to force out those blocks.
Yeah, this one is really simple.
What is this one?
That's the 72. So that's the same size as the 27, it just has 72 blocks. But
this is also a 72.
That's a 75. So that's a 5 by 15. That's 6 by 12.
Is this what Brianna has?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but so same size block as yours.
It just makes
a lot more.
All right. And what does she do these into the 10-20 trays?
Yeah. So what she was doing, remember how she did the stacking?
Oh, right. When her blocks got big, she put other blocks.
Yeah. So she made one set of blocks, grew the peppers, I think, made another set, popped off, and just set them right on top of this one.
Yeah, I remember her doing that.
Yeah.
That was very cool. All right, I'm going to see if we have any questions.
Okay.
All right. If you guys have questions, put them in the question bubble. Scroll back. Someone said, cool idea for the live stream. Thank you. But let's see. Oh my goodness. Liz-a-lot is on. Hey, Liz-a-lot. There's a bunch of people on. Hello, everybody. All right, so if someone wants to... Hey, Dawn. Dawn's on. Dawn owns which one does Dawn own?
She is 27.
She is the 27, just like me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What were you gonna have me do? Were you gonna have me do something?
We were talking about how the 72 is a little bit easier than this one.
All right. And so, if someone wants to buy any of these, they can purchase a 27, a 75,
Yep.
a 128,
Yep.
a 72,
Yep. And the 200.
and the I don't want to get this. Is it
You
okay
can
to
pull
get-
it, yeah,
It's so this one's so clean. This is the 200. See all those little guys? So those you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So that's what's available. What are the colors that are currently available?
We have
I know the pink is gone.
the pink is gone. We have the red. There's the royal blue in the 72 right now. The white is in the 128. And what's hilarious is everyone's like, "Oh, you went with the red, white, and blue theme." Completely by accident.
Seriously, it was an accident?
It was absolutely by accident.
You couldn't see it. You couldn't see
Didn't,
it.
completely
right.
didn't see it. So, but there are possibly more colors coming.
Okay. All right. And then so like but if someone was getting there's no colors for
Correct.
the 75 and the 27, right?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. Are those going to ever be colored?
Possible.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I do love the way the colored looks. And then wait, the 75 is silver, right?
That's
72s.
stainless. That's we stopped making the stainless.
Okay.
We may bring them back at some point if people want them, but
So it's black,
black, white,
colored.
red, and blue.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
And whatever bonus color Ashley decides on.
And what was the pink one in? A 70,
That was the 128.
the 128. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The pink is obviously my favorite so far. And then second place is the white.
Yeah.
And then the red should never have been made.
So from the moment I did the red, everybody, Amanda has been giving me a hard time, saying it's a horrible choice. I'm no longer in charge of colors. Ashley is only in charge of them now, and so it depends on what
I'm
she's
just
feeling.
like, there's only one color in the world I don't like, and it's red because it clashes with my hair.
Yes.
However, my husband's favorite color in the
I know,
world is
I know.
red, which is I think why it appealed to you. If my husband was buying it as a gift for me, I guarantee you, even though he knows I don't like red, he would have bought the red one. He'd been like, oh, that looks good. I think it's a guy thing.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why I'm not in charge of it anymore. So,
So really, do you like let Ashley sit there with the colors and be like, okay, we could do this, we could do that?
yeah, she literally picks based on what she feels at the moment.
Dawn said, hey, Amanda and Dan. All right. PMS, Scottish Garden, wants to know if they're available in the UK.
They are not right now. We are working on it, but not right now. So
Is it hard to sell stuff in the UK?
it's not hard. This is, you see how heavy it is?
Oh, yeah,
That's
it's
why
it's pretty
hard.
heavy. Yeah.
The export costs, if people want them individually, we don't have a distributor over there. There is a possibility. We just started to ship to like France and Netherlands. So you can DM me if you want, and I can try to put in a separate order, and I can take a look what the shipping costs are. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Did y'all
it's
hear that?
possible.
If you are somewhere where they don't currently ship, if you direct message Dan at it's at swiftblocker on Instagram, he will work with you and see if he can't figure out a way to get you one.
yeah.
But you do have distribution in Canada.
Canada, there is. Yep.
Okay.
And they have they should be restocked by the middle of November. They're completely out of stock right now.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, so they're taking pre-orders right now, so you can put a pre-order with them, and I think they have a sale going right now.
Only for the Canadians.
For the Canadians right now, yes.
Okay, well, if the Canadians, if you want to put a pre-order in, you're on sale right now. All right. You see how it
We did
is.
a Black Friday one last year. The plan is to do another Black Friday.
Oh, for the USers?
Yes, for the USers. I don't know what colors will be available. I don't know. We will see.
Okay, you heard it here first. There might be a Black Friday sale, and you don't know what colors are available. Oh, our Americans, we just love our Black Friday sale. All right, let me see if there's any other questions before we sign off for the evening. All right, yeah, so if you have questions about my experience as using them as a home gardener, not a flower farmer, for my vegetable garden, I start everything in them, or I have started everything in them, from Swiss chard to squash, tomatoes, peppers, tatsoi, like everything from my vegetable garden, and my cut flowers have all been started in them with great success. You can DM me, and then also Dan, he actually, even though he owns the company, he answers direct messages, at least now.
Yeah.
You could get to a point where you've got to source that out.